This is a moment you all been waiting for. Yin's ready? All right. The 2026 NFL Draft is officially open. The Las Vegas Raiders are on the clock.
And they will have the number one overall pick for the second time in the common draft era for the first time since 2007. We pause now for 10 seconds for station identification. This is the 2026 NFL Draft on ESPN Radio.
After round one of the NFL Draft, tune into Sirius XM NFL Radio for coverage on Channel 88 in the car and on the Sirius XM app.
Let's welcome in our ESPN NFL Draft analyst, the man who's going to carry the load the next few days, and that is the great Jordan Reed. Jordan, these prospects have been preparing for this moment their entire careers. What has you excited tonight?
Yeah, this is the moment everybody's been waiting for, right? I've told you guys 11 months of prep. These guys have went through a lot for this one-day stretch that they're going to go through. This first day is really where you want to get some superstars on your roster. You want to build your roster out with these day one players. But the Jets at number 2 overall is the one pick that I'm looking forward to. The big debate with them has been, do you take Arvell Reese, the edge rusher / linebacker out of Ohio State, or do you go with David Bailey, the defensive end out of Texas Tech? Huge debate in that draft room over the past few weeks or so, trying to nail down which one that they want to take. Do you go with the more polished pass rusher in David Bailey, or do you go with the guy that has more upside, even though he doesn't have a clear, defined position in Arvell Reese? I'm fascinated to find out. We know Fernando Mendoza is going to be the number 1 overall pick. That's a foregone conclusion. You can write it in Sharpie. They don't need to waste any time on the clock. They go ahead and turn the card in. You do.
But they will.
You have to call him. You have to call him to make sure he's still alive and well. So that's what they're doing right now. That's what John Spatek is doing. But the draft really starts at number 2 overall. I'm interested to see what the Jets do.
Ian Fitzsimmons, our college football reporter. Who are you excited about tonight?
2 guys, and I think that they're both worthy of a top 10 pick. I mentioned it to you guys earlier, and I'll say it again. Running back Jeremiah Love out of Notre Dame, safety Caleb Downs out of Ohio State. I think they are 2 of the most complete players in this draft. And I don't care if running back is normally not taken in the top 10 or safety isn't normally taken in the top 10. These guys are outliers. Jeremiah Love's not just a running back, he's a weapon. And nobody over the last 2 years has more touchdowns in college football than Jeremiah Love. 40 of those. And I think he's got, 8 of 60 yards or more. So he's explosive, can tote it, block it, and catch it. And then Caleb Downs, just wicked smart, will do whatever the heck you want as a quarterback of a defense. Those 2 guys, to me, are worthy of top 10 picks.
Max Starks, a 2-time Super Bowl champion offensive lineman. You do call the Steelers games here in Pittsburgh as well as college football and NFL on ESPN Radio. This town is ready for this particular event. There is no question, but as you're paying attention this evening, what are we looking for?
Offensive lineman. When is the run going to happen? Because the top of this draft, and when Jordan says, hey, you're going to see where those blue chip guys are, well, you need the proper guys blocking for those blue chip guys. And when you talk about what Ian just said with Jeremiah Love, well, you got to have a line that can open those lanes for Jeremiah Love. So those big bodies, mammals who can move fast on land, those are the land mammals you want to get in offensive linemen. There's a limited supply of those guys. And when you think about the tackles, you want to fortify your offensive lines. And, of course, there's the guard position, which I think we all agree Penn State has the house of the best guard in this draft. So where those guys go, they'll go in bunches because people don't want to miss out on fortifying their lines. That's what I'm really interested to see, how they go after the edge rushers and after the higher tier guys. That offensive line is going to be the staple players.
That is Vega Ioane, the guard that you're speaking of, and a guy that a lot of people are paying attention to tonight. The guy that we expect to be the number 1 overall pick a year ago was not a guy we were talking about potentially even being drafted. Last year, Mendoza transferred from the University of California, Berkeley to Indiana and transformed his entire career, Mike Tannenbaum. And we sat here a year ago talking about this potentially being a quarterback-rich draft, and you had a lot of guys who had rough years, who had injuries, and now Fernando Mendoza has played his way into this spot.
Yeah, Chris, I've been talking about him since
October. He's Matt Ryan to me. Matt Ryan was an underrated foot athlete. He had quickness in the pocket. And you never want to evaluate a player on any one play, but you know that first play against Ohio State where he gets rocked and he gets right up and he beats a very talented Ohio State defense who we'll be talking about over and over again tonight. So I think he has absolutely earned this. He can get the ball down the field. He can drive the ball. He's a better athlete than people realize. And let's give the Raiders credit. Reportedly, he's been working with Brian Greasy. He has the playbook. They signed Kyle Linderbaum. They signed Kirk Cousins. They drafted Ashton Jeanty a year ago. They got Brock Bowers. Colton Miller's coming back from injury. I would have played from day one. I've been really clear on that on the record. That's why I got Kirk Cousins. But let's give the Raiders a lot of credit. They have set Fernando Mendoza up for success. You talk about his development this past year. You talk to evaluators who have watched his progression and coaches, and it really stands out. His footwork has been able to be transformed, and his ability to not just locate the football and be decisive, and he has been an incredible story. And he is about to have the moments of a lifetime we expect as we head to the podium for the very first pick of the 2026 NFL Draft. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell is about to introduce the pick to open things up for the Las Vegas Raiders here in Pittsburgh.
With the first pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the Las Vegas Raiders select Fernando Mendoza, quarterback, Indiana.
Field Yates, player profile. Fernando Mendoza is a 3-year starting quarterback with 35 starts to his name. He has very good size for the quarterback position at 6'5" and 236 pounds. Strengths for Fernando Mendoza include his all-field accuracy, his toughness, and his functional mobility. This past season, he completed 10 touchdowns and 0 interceptions on balls thrown 20-plus air yards down the field, en route to a Heisman Trophy and also a college football national championship.
41 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, a guy that we weren't even talking about a year ago to potentially be in this position. So Jordan Reed, our ESPN NFL draft analyst, how did Fernando Mendoza get here?
Just the moments of resiliency. That's the things that really stand out to me, or the one trait that really stands out to me about Fernando Mendoza. Just think of all the big moments that he was able to overcome. Mike C. already touched on one with the last drive against Penn State, the big hit in the Big Ten title game against Ohio State, going into Austin Stadium early on in the season and beating Oregon, the big hits that he constantly took in the national title game against Miami as well. He's a very resilient quarterback. He has the personality and the type of game to lead a locker room as well. 6'5", 240 pounds. He's a prototypical pocket quarterback that does have some mobility as well. I think he's going to have a great adjustment period in the offense led by Clint Kubiak. Does have to learn some under center dynamics. That's why you bring in a guy like Kirk, somebody that is very mature at the position. He can throw the ball down the field as well, and also he's really accurate too.
And Fitzsimmons, it has been a winding path to get here nonetheless, and it all began with one phone call.
From David Lee, longtime quarterback coach, and I got to know Coach Lee when he was with the Dallas Cowboys along with Bill Musgrave. David Lee calls Musgrave when Bill was the offensive coordinator at Cal, and he's working out. He's kind of semi-retired at the time, Coach Lee is, and he's working with a guy named Fernando Mendoza in Miami. The Miami Hurricanes weren't even offering him a preferred walk-on. FAU, no Scally. FIU, no Scally. Lee goes, I'm telling you, Bill, this guy has got it. I'm sending you the tape. Watch it. Call me. Let me know. The next day, Bill Musgrave told me I was on a plane to Miami to go see an old friend named David Lee, who, oh, by the way, happened to be in a throwing session with a guy named Fernando Mendoza. Hey, by the way, smart schools cheat too. And anyway, so next thing you know, he's offering Mendoza a full boat to go to Cal. And Mendoza told me before the national championship game, if it wasn't that for that one phone call from David Lee to Bill Musgrave, he's an undrafted free agent, maybe a 6th, 7th round pick at best out of Yale, who had offered him to go there, but no scholar, right? Ivy League. So because of that one phone call, he goes to Cal, shines, then he hits the portal, ends up in Indiana, and the rest literally changed the Heisman, the national championship, and the number 1 overall pick with one phone call from David Lee to Bill Musgrave. Football history was changed forever.
Judge, every time we tell that story, it gets better and better. But I work with Coach Lee, and he has quite a foothold down in South Florida where I live. And he has stood by Fernando Mendoza for a long time. And what's remarkable was Manny Diaz had Fernando Mendoza 2 different years in his camp. It was a camp that he literally could walk through. That's how close he lived to Coral Gables. And the Hurricanes didn't even offer him a PWO.
Unbelievable.
No, and I think when you look at just the quarterback position and what the Raiders are now have, in Fernando Mendoza, they're going to make sure they fortify that offensive line. I mean, they went and got Linderbaum, they went and got Burford, and you assume Colton Miller comes back, but you're going to have some guys behind him that can go up there and block for him because the kid's tough as nails. He is tough as nails. I mean, if you watch that national championship game, I mean, he was getting battered and bruised by the 2 defensive ends we'll see going later tonight, but he's just got that grit. But I want to make sure that you protect him and you don't get him physically in a situation where he can get hurt too often.
So Fernando Mendoza, we have been talking about for months, and he is the first pick of the Las Vegas Raiders. And according to Jordan Reed, this is where the draft really begins because the New York Jets, their number 2 overall pick is in. They have got 2 picks in the top 16. The New York Giants have got 2 picks in the top 10 after their trade of Dexter Lawrence last week. But the Jets, in a disappointing first year under Aaron Glenn, certainly trying to turn the corner of a franchise that has been on a tough path for a long, long time. Will this be the start of the turning point? And who will it be? Will it be the beginning of a run of players from Columbus, Ohio and the Ohio State University? Or will it be someone else? Here is Roger Goodell to fill us in on the New York Jets.
With the second pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the New York Jets select David Bailey, linebacker, Texas Tech.
Field the A's. Player profile. Pass rusher David Bailey finished his college career at Texas Tech, a season in which he had 14.5 sacks. No player had more sacks than Bailey during the 2025 season. He's a violent throwback player who goes no gloves, no tape, just a whole lot of pass rush upside, and he was a gigantic reason why the Red Raiders made it as far as they did this past season. He totaled 71 pressures and 23 tackles for loss to go along with his 14.5 sacks while running a 4.5 40 at the 2026 NFL Cup.
So David Bailey is now a New York Jet. Jordan Reed, let's start with you. Are you surprised that the Jets went this route as opposed to a guy that's been described as a Swiss Army knife in Arbel Reese from Ohio State?
No, I'm not surprised at all. They just decided to go with a player that was more ready right now, and he has more experience playing defensive end. We're talking about somebody that had 23.5 tackles for loss last year, 14.5 sacks as well. Both of those led the country. So we know from day one, David Bailey is going to be able to go after the quarterback. We've all heard the stat. They had 0 interceptions a season ago. You add that pass rush, now that is going to create some more turnovers as well. So I completely understand why they went with the more polished pass rusher, and that's why they went with Bailey over Arbel Reese.
Like Tannenbaum, your take on this pick? Yeah, they talked about this for several weeks, and I think with Will McDonald, they felt like this was the better complement with Bailey. Bailey actually reminds me of a guy we had the Jets, John Abraham, in terms of first step quickness, explosiveness. You did see that same production at Stanford. Some questions about his edge-setting ability, but in terms of being able to create turnovers with sacks, something that Jordan alluded to, I think we'll see more of an instant impact with Bailey. I don't think you could have gone wrong with either pick. I think the intriguing part about Reese is, and we'll get to him when he gets picked, is only 20 years old, but David Bailey will materially impact this team. Again, they traded Jermaine Johnson, so there was a big hole at defensive end. Max Starks, a 2-time Super Bowl champion offensive lineman. You studied these guys week in and week out in your career. What stands out about David Bailey?
Just turn on the Big 12 championship game. I was there watching it live, and between him and Lee Hunter, it was not even close. And I think what David Bailey's going to bring is, like you said, edge pressure immediately. He's so sudden. And I think the only other guy I would probably compare him to is how Dylan Stewart was, right? And he'll be in next year's draft in South Carolina. First step quickness, is key, and that is going to kill a lot of these tackles. When you think of what New England was a year ago, that's who you're thinking about. You think about the Dolphins now with Malik Willis. You're looking at the division, and if you can get pressure on these quarterbacks, that's what's going to be a difference maker. And to allude to the point, they didn't have an interception. Why? They couldn't have a pass rush. Pass rush leads to faster motions for quarterbacks. It forces them to throw the ball in a place they don't want to, and hopefully give their corners an opportunity to make a play.
Had an NFC West exec tell me his superpower is acceleration. He will go from 0 to 60 in 2 seconds flat. He is that good in terms of what he can do outside. Of course, the big story with the number 1 overall pick for the Las Vegas Raiders, Fernando Mendoza. Let us hear from the Raiders' newest quarterback moments ago with Taylor McGregor.
Well, thank you so much. In the last 5 months, you have won the Heisman Trophy, a national championship, and now you're the first overall pick in the NFL draft. How have the last 5 months changed your life?
The last 5 months has been such a blessing by God, and I can't thank him enough. I'm just looking forward to get to work, prove at the next level. College was fantastic. I'm so blessed to have that career, but now I step into a great game, the NFL. Look forward to proving and earning it every single day.
You're going to the Las Vegas Raiders. What excites you the most about this opportunity?
What a great organization, great legacy. There's so many great teammates I'm looking forward to talking to, coaches, owners. I'm ecstatic for the opportunity.
Congratulations.
Thanks so much. God bless.
He is the second number 1 overall pick from Indiana in NFL draft history. The first, anyone? Corbett Davis, 1938.
I was just going to guess that. You know what?
Tip of Fitz's tongue.
Corbin Dallas, Fifth Element.
It was the Cleveland Rams because, of course, it was in 1938.
Oh, my God.
The NFL Draft on ESPN Radio is presented by ZipRecruiter. Try it free at ZipRecruiter.com/sports. Meet your match. ZipRecruiter. Now, this is where things really start to get interesting because there's been an awful lot of talk about the Arizona Cardinals. And leading up to the draft, Mike Tannenbaum, will start with you, our former NFL executive with the Jets and the Miami Dolphins. There are smoke screens sometimes that are put out there. And so 3 or 4 days ago, there was a lot of talk all of a sudden that, hey, maybe the Arizona Cardinals are interested in Jeremiah Love. But are they floating that out there as an organization that maybe see if the phone's going to ring and who might be interested?
Yeah, absolutely. Doesn't look like there's a trade about to happen here, but absolutely, they have so many holes, Chris, that to trade back a few spots, especially in this draft, offensive line, defensive line, quarterback, you can go on and on what they need here. So I definitely think they were hoping to see if they could slide back, because in this draft, the player you can get through, you probably get 6 or 7.
Well, the Arizona Cardinals, Jordan Reed, before we go to the commissioner, they have a lot of needs.
They do, and I think you have to go either defensive line or offensive line here. I think it comes down to Arvell Reese or Francis Mauigoa, the offensive tackle out of Miami. But they could go Jeremiah Love. I just don't think they're in a situation right now from a roster rebuild standpoint to where they can afford to take a running back.
Well, the Arizona Cardinals, under new head coach Mike LaFleur, will make their first pick of the night, and that is coming at number 3 overall. Fernando Mendoza, David Bailey off the board. And so we now go back to the commissioner. Just 8 minutes between picks this year, as they have shortened that time. And the Pittsburgh crowd, once again, welcoming in Roger Goodell to the stage.
23rd pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the Arizona Cardinals select Jeremiah Love, running back, Notre Dame.
Field Yates, player profile. The most dynamic player in the 2026 NFL Draft is Notre Dame running back Jeremiah Love, who after 3 seasons with the Irish declared for the NFL Draft. Love is not just a gigantic weapon as a runner, but also the best pass-catching running back in the entire class. He forced at least 60 missed tackles in each of the past 2 seasons, averaging nearly 138 yards from scrimmage per game in 2025. The icing on the cake for Love, he never lost a fumble during his brilliant college career.
Turns out, no smoke screen whatsoever. They were interested in Jeremiah Love, and those rumors turned out to be true, and we will break it down in just moments. Plus, on the way, the Tennessee Titans, the New York Giants, first of 2 top 10 picks, the Cleveland Browns, the Washington Commanders, all to come. We are once again running at the 2026 NFL Draft here in Pittsburgh, and we will have it all for you throughout the course of the night, round one, and then to the very last pick on Saturday. You're listening to the 2026 NFL Draft on ESPN Radio, presented by Pella Windows and Doors, 5-Hour Energy, ZipRecruiter, and Marriott Bonvoy.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager, learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. This simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad, just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Ahoy, ye mateys! Now I know you probably think a pirate like me with a peg leg and an eye patch is in search of a buried treasure, but 'tis not so, me mateys. My brave crew and I have pledged to plunder no more until we clean up all the garbage that comes out here from land. Why, just today, I found an aluminum can that said soda pop from the mountaintop. Somebody probably threw it on the ground and it washed into a drain pipe and into a river and into the ocean. Now I've got the best crew in the 7 seas, but we can't do it all ourselves. Lend us a hand. I always recycle and dispose of your trash spot. To learn more about keeping oceans clean, visit keepoceansclean.org. Carnation. I mean, keepoceansclean.org. That's keepoceansclean.org. Yeah, what he said there. Brought to you by the Keep Oceans Clean Alliance and the Ad Council.
Fantasy Sports Radio is helping you win your fantasy league right now on Channel 87. Take it back! Home run Aaron Judge! From in-season fantasy baseball management to helping you prepare for your fantasy football drafts, Fantasy Sports Radio is here to help you dominate.
Don't ever take a player that you don't intend to keep all year. Don't do it. It's terrible management.
Fantasy Sports Radio, your home for fantasy sports. Channel 87 and on the Sirius XM app.
This is the 2026 NFL Draft on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app.
Jeremiah Love is the newest Arizona Cardinal with the 3rd overall pick in the 2026 NFL Draft here in Pittsburgh. Thrilled you could join us on ESPN Radio. Chris Carlin with former NFL exec Mike Tannenbaum, our ESPN NFL Draft analyst Jordan Reed, college football reporter Ian Fitzsimmons, our 2-time Super Bowl champion offensive lineman Max Starks. In moments, we will hear the Tennessee Titans' latest pick at number 4. The NFL Draft on ESPN Radio presented by Pella Windows and Doors. When it comes to your home, Pella Windows and Doors always have the winning game plan. That's why your neighbors trust them. Visit Pella.com/Eisen. Mike Tannenbaum, let's start here. Always debate over whether or not you take the best player if it is a running back. It's only the 3rd time in the last 20 years that a running back has gone in the top 3 picks. Saquon Barkley, and then Trent Richardson. Your take on this pick by the Cardinals?
I love it because he is a difference-making player who not only can score touchdowns, he caught the ball in the backfield, as Fitz talked about earlier, 63 receptions, great pass protector, no fumbles. He's a foundational player. I do not love, as Max Starks would say, the landbound holes that they have on the Arizona offensive line. But if we could fix that, you would have a dynamic difference maker.
Oh, we are running, quite literally, because the commissioner is on his way to the podium as we speak for the Tennessee Titans at number 4 under their new head coach, Robert Saleh, and their new offensive coordinator, Brian Dable, both former head coaches in New York on the same staff in Tennessee. What do the Titans have in store at number 4?
With the 4th pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the Tennessee Titans select Carnell Tate, wide receiver, Ohio State.
Field Yates. Player profile. Wide receiver Ohio State from Carnell Tate had to wait his time at the most stacked wide receiver room in all of college football and had a great final season with the Buckeyes. He averaged over 17 yards per catch with 9 receiving touchdowns in 2025. And despite the fact that he ran just a 4.53 40 at the NFL's Combine in 2026, Tate has real big play upside down the field. He's amongst the most pro-ready prospects with his excellent route running and his reliable hands, as he had just one drop in 2025. While not a player that had a ton of chances to do damage after the catch, he makes life easier for any quarterback with his route running, reliability, and his hamstring.
By many, he was evaluated to potentially be the #1 receiver in a very deep receiver class, but we have a second whoa moment of the draft already in the top 4 picks. Jordan Reed, will start with you, our ESPN NFL draft analyst. Carnell Tate going #4 overall.
I love it. You invest the #1 overall pick last year in your quarterback, Cam Ward. Let's go ahead and get him some weapons. The Titans have done a heck of a job this offseason, adding some defensive pieces already. We knew that they needed a #1 receiver. Calvin Ridley's getting older. He took 2 receivers on day 3 last year, Shamir DK and also Eric Ayo-Maynor. Now we need that true #1 receiver. I love it. I love going to get your #1 receiver in Carnell Tate. Yes, #4 overall may be a little bit early, but we're talking about him already being a top 10 pick already. So I don't see a problem at all, especially when we're talking about getting a weapon, another weapon for our quarterback in Cam Ward. I love this pick personally.
Yeah, Max Starks, I talked to an NFC exec who said, you know what you're getting. You're getting consistency. You're getting a plug-and-play guy. I do wonder, with the pick of Jeremiah Love, if that thrusts Tate into a spot of being the first Ohio State player pick, which, by the way, if you had that, you cashed big tonight.
You absolutely did, because I definitely would have thought Caleb Downs or Sonny Styles would have been off the board before Carnell Tate. I get he's consistent. That slow 40 definitely was one that you're talking about. You're going for more of a possession receiver. You have, Ayo-Maynor already there, Calvin Ridley already there, and company, and Wan'Dale Robinson you got in free agency this offseason. But I definitely would have thought they wanted to invest a little bit more on their line, whether it was offensive line or defensive line.
I know out of Miami here, didn't you?
Yeah, I would not have minded him. I thought he would have fit that system that they want to run, because they have Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears in the backfield, so if you are going to run, and also for Cam Ward and some of the quarterback option stuff, I would have wanted a rock solid right tackle.
Part of this whole process, guys, is you have to manage the draft. And the reason I don't like this decision is you could have had Sonny Styles, which could have been Robert Salas, Fred Warner. Carnell Tate's a really good player. He ran 4.52. You could find a good receiver in this draft that runs 4.52 in the next round. And to Max's point, guys, like, you could have taken an offensive lineman. There was a lot of other players they could have taken. To me, were sort of like difference makers. I think Carnell Tate's really good. I think it's a mismanagement, though, from a strategy standpoint, to take him at #4. And is he a #1 receiver?
Hasn't been yet.
No.
Not bad. Behind Jeremiah Smith.
But this is the same thing we said about Jackson Smith and Jigba. He's only a certified #2. He's gone on to be a true #1 receiver. I think Carnell Tate has the potential to be a #1 receiver, but he doesn't have to be next year just because they have a Calvin Ridley, who, is going to be their #1 as long as he stays healthy, but he eventually could transition into being a #2.
And to piggyback up something Mike T said, I don't care when he runs a straight line in. I do not care. Puka Nacua ran what? Damn near a 4.6. I think he's turned out all right. Now he's got some issues off the field, but when he's on the field, I mean, it doesn't matter. Football speed is football speed. Turn on the tape, and Carnell Tate makes plays.
And here's the young man that this has got to be an incredibly emotional night tonight because not 2 years ago, in July of 2023, a little over 2 years ago, lost his mother, Ashley Griggs, just 40 years old, in a horrific drive-by shooting in Chicago. And this young man has certainly been through it with his family, and he is feeling those emotions tonight. Yeah, no easy way to transition, but we have a trade here. The Chiefs are now on the clock. Kansas City Chiefs have traded up to the #5 pick overall. So We will have that in just moments. Meanwhile, I want to remind you the draft, our draft tracker so far is brought to you by Pfizer. In the fight against cancer, every screen matters. See why your cancer screenings matter at PfizerForAll.com/screening. So far, off the board, we have got number 1 overall as expected, Fernando Mendoza. Then David Bailey. As Mendoza went to the Raiders, Bailey goes to the New York Jets. Jeremiah Love to the Arizona Cardinals at number 3, and Carnell Tate, just moments ago, traded to the Tennessee Titans. Meanwhile, the Browns pick at number 6 is going to go to the Chiefs. And so the Giants will stay on the board right now. So the Giants pick is in. We will have that momentarily. See, Mike, this is why you leave this stuff to me. We don't get jumped all over the place here. No easy way to transition. Come on. I was trying to throw you a there, but I understand it. I understand that. No, but let's talk about it for a second. The Chiefs moving up all the way to number 6 from number 9. Obviously, they see somebody that they love right away, and somebody they did not expect out of these couple of picks to maybe be there at number 6. Yeah, we talked about this guy's sort of under the radar. Their talent has eroded. They've lost 3 corners: Josh Williams, Jalen Watson, Trent McDuffie. They need a defensive end opposite Karlaftis. Their right tackle left to Juwan Taylor. Jalen Moore is okay. They need a receiver outside of Rasheed Rice and Xavier Worthy. So they need a lot of things. I really applaud Cleveland, trading back and picking up an extra 3rd-round pick here to go back 3 spots. I think that's a masterful job by the Browns. I'm surprised that Tennessee didn't do something similar because, again, Carnell Tate's a good player, but those teams need to be in the volume business. Jordan, what do you make of this?
I mean, I think it's the right move. I think we're going to have a little bit of an Ohio State run right here potentially. I think 5 could be Sonny Styles or Caleb Downs to the Giants. And then with Kansas City trading up, I think that may be for Arvell Reese.
So Reese, Styles, both on the board for Ohio State for the New York Giants as well. The Giants, the first of their 2 top 10 picks. They also picked at number 10 by virtue of their trade last weekend with the Cincinnati Bengals. They have the number 10 overall pick as Dexter Lawrence went to Cincinnati. So already we've got intrigue at the draft, and there always is, even when you lead up to it and don't necessarily expect it. Roger Goodell making his way out to the podium to tell us what the New York Giants are going to do at number 5.
In partnership with the Tragedy Assistance Program for Survivors, TAPS, one of the NFL's Salute to Service partners, we are honored to recognize the surviving family of United States Army Major Paul C. Volke. Major Volke sustained tragic fatal injuries while deployed in Afghanistan. He is survived by his spouse, Tracy, and their 2 sons, Andrew and Benjamin. Major Volke was raised in the Hudson Valley and was a lifelong fan of the New York Giants, a tradition he proudly passed on to his sons. Volke family, take it away. With the 5th overall pick of the 2026 NFL Draft, the New York Football Giants select Arvell Reese, linebacker from the Ohio State University.
Field Games, player profile. The most versatile defensive player in the 2026 NFL Draft is Arvell Reese from Ohio State. He has extensive experience as a stand-up inside linebacker, but in 2025, under defensive coordinator Matt Patricia, took on a more prominent role rushing the passer. Specifically, he had 97 pass rushing reps in 2025 with 19 pressures and 6.5 sacks. While Reese slowed down in the sack department later on in the season, he is still a gifted rusher with extreme explosiveness and check-the-box measurables. Whether he is utilized as a stand-up inside linebacker or as a pass rusher or a bit of both, there is no doubt that he has all the tools needed to be an instant impact player at the NFL level.
Well, as the New York sports talk show host, Reese versus Bailey, as Mike Tannenbaum just pointed out. This is going to be a great debate over the next few months and over the next 10 years, maybe. I mean, this is perfect for you, Chris Carlin. I mean, you're going to open your show every Monday. You're going to have the David Bailey versus Arvell Reese report card. Who is better, Jets versus Giants? And it's perfect for you. Anything to make my job easier. But let's go right into this. I really wonder, Max Starks, if the Giants expected Arvell Reese to be here, because a lot of us, I don't know that we did.
No, I definitely think they did not think it. I'm sure they were sitting there waiting for the opportunity, especially when Tennessee took, just took Cardell Tate. And think about this. You're pairing Abdul Carter with Arvell Reese off the edge in a 3-4 defense. That's scary. Whether it's sub-package or regular downs, you got two really gifted guys. And that's why I think, Kansas City moving up, they're like, hey, wait a second, there's some guys here that we didn't expect to be here, that we thought were going to be gone, that now make this a lot more interesting.
Jordan, this is a player, we used the term Swiss Army knife earlier, but this is a guy that allows you on defense to do a lot of different things with your personnel.
I'm interested to see where they play him, honestly, just because don't forget they still have Kayvon Thibodeau as well. So what does that mean for him? He now becomes possibly a trade chip as well, with him entering the last year of his deal. He signed Tremaine Edmonds this offseason too. So I'm interested to see if they play him at off-ball linebacker or if they do actually play him at defensive end. If they do play him at defensive end, that's a very crowded room now with Brian Burns, Abdul Carter, and Kayvon Thibodeau.
Every scout I talked to leading up to the draft, when I asked about Arvell Reese, Carlin, it was a very simple and succinct description. He's just a baller. That's it. End of conversation. The dude is just a natural-born football player. That's what the Giants got.
So the trade that we have coming up right now that just happened, the Cleveland Browns trading out of the number 6 position to the number 9 spot with the Kansas City Chiefs. Officially, the Browns get the number 74 pick of Kansas City in the 3rd round and the number 148th overall pick. Mike Tannenbaum, let's go to you on this. Reese now is somebody that the Giants bring in, but how exactly is he going to fit? Like Gordon said, he's curious to see how they use him. He's got to go off the ball because the other guy is Brian Burns. So you have Abdul Carter, you got Brian Burns, you got Kayvon Thibodeau, who can fly inside, and as Jordan mentioned, he could potentially be traded. So I think initially you're going to have Reese off the ball. And again, that whole Reese Bailey debate for a while was you saw on tape Arvell Reese play in coverage. So they also signed Tremaine Edmonds. So I think eventually he becomes a hand in the dirt guy the way Michael Parsons did. But I can see if you get him on the field quickly, they would start him as an off-the-ball linebacker.
You have to remember, when the Giants were in their heyday in the early 2000s, when they won 2 Super Bowls, right? What did they have? A NASCAR package. Could you imagine Kayvon Thibodeau, Abdul Carter, Brian Burns, and Arvell Reese on the field at the same time? They used that with O.C. Umenyiora, right? You had Michael Strahan. You had all of these guys that they put in there. It would be very interesting to see if they create a NASCAR 2 package with those guys just to create all pass rush on a 3rd down situation.
All those dudes, yeah.
You could go back even further when you talk about Giants' success and linebackers taken at the top of the draft. You have Lawrence Taylor, and then you have Carl Banks as well, and those 2 guys won a couple of Super Bowls together as well. Meanwhile, speaking of Super Bowls, the Kansas City Chiefs have won their share, and they are on the clock right now at number 6. Let us head to the podium where Commissioner Roger Goodell will fill us in on what Andy Reid and Brett Veach have cooking.
With the 6th pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the Kansas City Chiefs select Mansour Delane, defensive back, LSU.
Field Yates, player profile. Mansour Delane made the most of his lone season at LSU as he was terrific for the Tigers. He has good overall size for the position and ran a blazing sub 4.40 during his pro day at LSU. Delane is a man coverage corner technician. He has great technique, very good ball skills as well. He's an extremely disciplined player overall and is willing to get involved in the running game. The past season at LSU was simply dominant. Quarterbacks posted just a 3.9 QBR when they had targeted a player being covered by Delane, and he had more interceptions too than completions allowed of 20-plus yards won during the 2025 season.
Here's what's clear about Kansas City's trade up to number 6. They were not going to let the top cornerback in this draft go somewhere else, and they didn't want to roll the dice and wait around at 9 to see if they were going to get Mansour Delane.
Chris Carlin, unfortunately, many times, and Pete Saccone, our big toe here at the Jet fans, know this, that you don't want to drive to the stadium talent deficient at corner, which is a terrible feeling that I had, unfortunately, more than once in my career. I think with Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, you can scheme up offense. I know it's not ideal. They need a receiver. They need tackle. This is, by far to me, the best move we've seen so far tonight. This is a number one shutdown corner who's physical, ball skills, great anticipation. Trevor Duffy was an A+. This guy has a chance to be an outstanding player. No-brainer. Great work by the Chiefs.
Jordan, do with this what you will. I don't know what to make of it, but in talking to people around the league about him and coaches as well, they did express some concern over the size, but not because he's 6 foot, 187 pounds, but just, like I said, physical. Is he big enough to hold up at corner?
To turn on the tape from last year, he allowed 13 catches all of last season. No more than 2 in any game. No touchdowns. This is a true shutdown corner. And Mike T talked about it. They lost 3 corners this offseason. Trent McDuffie, Jalen Watson, and then also Joshua Williams as well. They had a huge need for a corner. You trade up for a number 1 corner. Delane was easily my top-ranked corner in this year's class, and they had a huge need at the position. And I had a great talk with Virginia Tech's DB coach at the time, who coached Mansour Delane, and I asked him, why did he go to LSU? And he said he wanted to accept the challenge of being in the fraternity, being an LSU DB. I love hearing stuff like that because he wanted to go to a university that is known in a program that's known for maximizing players at that position, and he accepted the challenge, and now he's a top 10 pick.
We had LSU 3 times. Our crew did last year, and Max, I know you had him also.
Yeah.
This dude is not afraid to breathe the same air as a wide receiver and press man, and he's not afraid to stick his face mask right into your chest when it comes to defending the run. And when we talked to Garrett Nussmeier last week, former LSU quarterback who wore that cherished number 18 at LSU, he said Delane reminded him of Derek Stingley, going up against him every single day in practice. Now, that is high praise. You're talking about the Houston Texans Pro Bowl corner. Max, I know you saw him a lot also.
I saw Mansour a lot, and when you think about who just entered the AFC West, a guy by the name of Jalen Waddle, right, went to the Denver Broncos. Quentin Johnston's over there in L.A. You're going to get a guy who can go shut down Ladd McConkey potentially or any of those guys. So, great pick for the Chiefs.
And the picks are coming fast and furious. We're already at number 7, and the Washington Commanders are up. Sonny Styles, many thought he'd be gone by this point. The Ohio State linebacker is still out there. Keep an eye on what Washington is going to do at number 7. We turn it over to the commissioner, who is headed to the podium with a couple of special guests.
The Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year Award, presented by Nationwide, is awarded to one player each year and celebrates their profound impact on and off the field. I'm joined on stage by former winners Lynn Swan and Jerome Bennett. And the league welcomed its newest member to the prestigious club 2 months ago, Super Bowl champion and 6-time All-Pro Bobby Wagner. Here you go, Bobby. On behalf of the Payton family and Nationwide, I encourage players drafted this week to make their community and the league a better place. With the 7th pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the Washington Commanders select Sonny Styles, linebacker, Ohio State.
Field Yates, player profile. Linebacker Sonny Styles from Ohio State has one of the most intriguing trajectories of any prospect in the 2025 NFL Draft. After beginning his college career as a safety, Styles made the successful transition to linebacker and still has incredibly uncommon size. While some know him as the standout of the 2026 NFL Combine, during which he ran a 4.46 640 at 6'5" and 244 pounds, Styles is much more than just a workout warrior. He has a quick trigger to read fast in the running game, has extensive range, and he was one of the most improved tacklers in all of college football. He had a 97.5 tackle percentage in 2025, third best in all of the FBS. On top of that, he had 21 pressures on just 127 pass rushing snaps over the past 2 seasons.
One college football coach who had the game plan for Sonny Styles of the Ohio State defense told me last week, this guy looks like an edge rusher and moves like a defensive back. Do not see that every single day. So Sonny Styles is now a member of the Washington Commanders, but perhaps the best overall Ohio State defender is still yet to come. We'll find out in moments. Just moments from now, we will have the number 8 pick with the New Orleans Saints, followed by the Cleveland Browns, the New York Giants, 2nd pick, and the Miami Dolphins, all to come. This is the 2026 NFL Draft on ESPN Radio, presented by Pella Windows and Doors, 5-Hour Energy, ZipRecruiter, and Marriott Bonvoy.
Do you read more about your team in the off-season than in the season? Does your game day outfit include a brown bag with eye holes? Then you may be a fan of a BS team or bad sports team. Luckily, when you bundle your home and auto insurance with Progressive, you're protected, because seeing your painted face in the rearview mirror after a loss isn't just depressing. It's distracting. Visit Progressive.com today. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Subject to policy terms. Not available in all states or situations. Rich Eisen here. Running a small business means every hire matters. A bad hire costs time and money, but the right one helps your business grow. The challenge? Finding that person without sorting through resumes. That's where LinkedIn Hiring Pro comes in. It screens candidates so you can focus on conversations with qualified talent. With Hiring Pro, you can hire with confidence and build the team you need. Join the 2.7 million small businesses using LinkedIn to hire. Get started by posting your job for free at linkedin.com/Eisen. Terms and conditions apply. Hey, it's Rich Eisen for Pella Windows and Doors. Sometimes teams take a time out to regroup and call the right play. When it comes to your home, Pella Windows and Doors always has the winning game plan. They're not just window and door experts. They're experts at taking care of you and your home. At Pella, they find the products that meet your needs and their experts install them. They do it every day, and that's why your neighbors trust them. Discover why Pella is a trusted choice for homeowners everywhere. Visit Pella.com/Eisen today. That's Pella.com/Eisen.
Evan Cohen here. Game day brings the excitement. Your stay should feel just as memorable. With Marriott Bonvoy, official hotel partner of the NCAA and U.S. Soccer, you're connected to a portfolio of brands designed for how you travel. Some offer complimentary breakfast, others give you room to spread out, space to stay productive, or extended stay comforts. So whether you're a traveling fan or part of the team, Marriott Bonvoy celebrates the moments that live on before and after the game. Marriott Bonvoy, where game day checks in. Evan Cohen here. PayPal is now the official peer-to-peer payment sponsor of the NFL, which means all the money moments that fandom creates, whether splitting tailgate costs or chipping in on tickets and game day food between friends, are covered. Wherever the game is played or watched, PayPal moves with fans. You can send money through text, email, or directly to your friends with
Aboard from Ohio State, the third Buckeye in the top 7 picks of the 2026 NFL Draft. He is headed to the Washington Commanders. The New Orleans Saints are next on the board. Let's get to Jordan Reed's Best Available. It's brought to you by PayPal, the official peer-to-peer payment sponsor of the NFL. Jordan Reed, our ESPN NFL Draft analyst. our top 5 players available right now.
Yeah, so I have 4 players left that have a true first-round grade for me on my board. That's Caleb Downs, safety out of Ohio State. It's probably not going to have to wait much longer. I definitely think he's going to get picked within the next 2 or 3 picks here. So Francis Mauigoa, the offensive tackle for Miami. Ruben Bain at Miami as well. Vega Ioane, the guard out of Penn State. And then Mekhi Lemon, the receiver out of USC. Those are my top 5 best players left. I don't think Downs, Bain, or Mauigoa, they shouldn't have to wait much longer. I think Ioane is definitely going to go here very soon, too.
Chris Carlin along with Jordan Reed, our ESPN NFL draft analyst, Ian Fitzsimmons, our ESPN college football reporter, Matt Starks, our 2-time Super Bowl champion offensive lineman, and Mike Tannenbaum, our former NFL executive with the Jets and with the Miami Dolphins, who we will hear from in the next few picks. They are up at number 11, but on the way, the Saints, the Cleveland Browns, who traded back from number 6 moments ago with Kansas City, the New York Giants with their second top 10 pick, followed by those Miami Dolphins. We've got the New Orleans Saints on the board. Let's talk about this, Mike. You have got a situation where Caleb Downs, who may be the best overall player left in the draft right now, is available, and that might not have been expected, but you also have a team that has a need and a guy in Ruben Bain Jr. who made plays all over the football field for the Miami Herd.
Yeah, Chris, you teed it up perfectly. This is the perfect conversation of like best player against need, and I think the debate they're having here is they don't need a safety nearly as much as they need a pass rusher. Assuming their board is what you're saying is, which I think is conventional wisdom, that Downs would be higher rated than Bain. That's going to be the conversation because Bain has a path to play right now. Just given where they are, they really need a pass rusher. I mean, this team is really devoid of. Mike could use two to be candid. Not sure what Cam Jordan's going to do here, so they could use a safety, but the bigger need to me is defensive end.
So the New Orleans Saints having an unexpected year. A lot of people thought the Saints might be at the very top of this draft this year because they frankly didn't see a whole lot for Kellen Moore to work with, but Tyler Shuck really emerged as the potential quarterback in the future for the New Orleans Saints, and now they get their first pick here in 2026 at the NFL draft in Pittsburgh as the commissioner is making his way to the podium. Who is headed down on the bayou? Roger Goodell? Not set to tell us who New Orleans is going to take off the board as we go back to the podium for the commissioner. Commissioner letting them finish the verse on Sweet Caroline clearly.
It's very polite because they're not doing it right now.
Or perhaps the band's just not taking the cue.
That's funny. That is really funny.
We'll see, but this is our one shot.
With the 8th pick
And there they are.
in the 2026 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select Jordan Tyson, wide receiver, Arizona State.
Field Gates, player profile. Arizona State wide receiver Jordan Tyson is one of the most explosive athletes in the entire class. He finished up with 3 seasons at Arizona State after an initial year at Colorado. Good things happen when you get the football in the hands of Tyson, who checks in at just over 6'2" and 203 pounds. While he did not run a 40 during the pre-draft process, he's an explosive athlete who has the ability to do damage after the catch and vertically down the field. The injury history was one of the questions that surrounded Tyson during the pre-draft process, as at different points during his college career, he dealt with a torn ACL, broken collarbone, and most recently, a hamstring injury. That being said, despite the injury concerns for some, there's no denying that Tyson is one of the most impressive and athletic players at a position that has become a premium one in the NFL.
And it was a position of need for the New Orleans Saints, but we just did not expect them to maybe address it this soon as the Saints make Jordan Tyson from Arizona State the second wide receiver to go in the first round. Jordan Reed, let's turn to you on Jordan Tyson. The injury concerns are all that come up when it comes to this guy, but there are so many people who have been standing on a pedestal, pounding the table for this guy because The injuries, a lot of them will say, come from the fact that this guy continues to play through the injuries no matter what the situation is. And maybe that didn't help him with his hamstrings this year.
The talent has never been the question with Jordan Tyson. It's just the durability. And if there was one receiver in this class who I believe was the most talented that had wide receiver one upside, it was Jordan Tyson. While a lot of people view Cardinal Tate and Mekhi Lemon as more so complementary options. But, I mean, going back to his days early on in his career, he's somebody that's eclipsed 1,000 yards and 100 receptions year after year after year. Had a down season this past season, but still had over 1,000 yards and 10 receiving touchdowns. So we're talking about a big-time talent, but the durability is something that a lot of people had a lot of question marks about. He's somebody that had a very late pro day in the process. He had it a week before the actual draft. There were a lot of scouting executives in attendance there, so that just shows you that the interest with Tyson was still there. But we have to remember, the Saints' number 2 receiver right now is Devon Bailey, who had 293 receiving yards last year. They have Chris Olave there. He had a big season last season. They had a huge need at receiver, and getting a complimentary option for Chris Olave, I think their games pair very well with each other for Tyler Shough.
Matt Starks, over the last couple of years at Arizona State, there has been a coach who has really helped him develop into a top-line receiver, and it's a guy that this town knows very well.
That's right. MVP 86 Hines Ward. That's who it was. Was on here earlier to open up the draft. And Hines, I call him Wardy because that's my dog. Wardy, I remember going down to ASU because I live in Arizona and sitting at practices and talking to Hines. And Hines is like, dude, listen, Jordan Tyson, this kid is the truth. He's like, he's tough, he's physical. The health has been what he's called very haphazard and very out of the blue, is how he kind of stigmatized it. But he talked about how his blocking downfield has improved. And when you talk about having a physical receiver that can go block, and then you learn from one of the greatest blocking receivers in NFL history, that's a heck of a nod to have. And Jordan Tyson, like you said, this is the most talented wide receiver one that was in this draft. But you had a big red question mark flag next to health. Because no doubt when he's healthy, he's a difference maker. It's just keeping him on the field. And I will say this, when I looked at the Saints, I was like, they need edge help. They need edge help because Cam Jordan's no longer coming back.
They need a lot of help.
And yes, as a Louisiana native,
Mom tells the Beloveds. The Beloveds need a lot of help.
They do. Travis Etienne in the offseason, right, to bolster with Alvin Kamara in the backfield, to support Tyler Shough, and now you add a number 2 receiver that's a number 1. That they're going in on offense.
But my concerns here are, like, if you look at it over 30 years, you don't typically get more durable when you go from college football to pro football. Thinking about wide receiver, and then Jordan Tyson comes off the board. Maybe we see our first offensive lineman off the board tonight. Here is the commissioner, Roger Goodell.
With the 9th pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the Cleveland Browns select Spencer Fano, tackle, Utah.
Field Yates, player profile. Spencer Fano, right tackle for the University of Utah, is an experienced 3-year player who has played both left tackle and right tackle at the collegiate ranks and has a chance to maybe even be amongst the most versatile offensive linemen in the NFL. He is an extremely fluid and athletic offensive lineman who, along with the rest of the Utah offensive line, dominated in the running game in 2025. However, he is also, Fano, one of the best pass protectors in the entire class, allowing a pressure rate of just 1.1% in 2025, with 0 sacks allowed as well. Fano lacks prototypical offensive tackle length, as he had just 32 1/8 inch arms at the NFL Combine. But whether it's at his current home at right tackle or somewhere amongst the 3 interior offensive line positions, NFL personnel are confident that Fano has the goods to be an excellent pro.
Meanwhile, that was not necessarily the guy you would have expected to be the first offensive lineman off the board. Maybe it would have been Francis Maui Noah. At least consensus leading into the draft, he's the number one guy. The New York Giants sprinted to the podium. They could not get there fast enough. And the commissioner is on his way out to make their second pick of the top 10. The Giants were probably debating two guys at number 5 overall, and they could very well end up with both of them right here. Let's hear from Roger Goodell.
With the 10th pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the New York Giants select Francis Maui Noah, tackle, Miami.
Field Games Player Profile. There are a few players more polished in the 2026 NFL Draft than offensive tackle Francis CC Maui Noah, who had 42 starts with 2,709 snaps played. All but 11 of those snaps came at right tackle for the Hurricanes. He's always poised on the field, and he is always balanced in pass protection with real ability to get movement in the running game as well. He shows good match and mirror instincts as a pass protector, and while he may not necessarily have this elite length often associated with top-tier right tackles, there's very little to poke holes in at the game of Maui Noah in 2025.
I'm not going to lie, that's not the guy I thought they sprinted to the podium for. I thought there would have been a large debate in my Tannenbaum at number 5 over who would go Caleb Downs or Arvell Reese, and they went Reese, and Downs was available at 10, and they did not take him.
Yeah, and their division rival just traded up one spot from 12 to 11. And are the Dallas Cowboys going to take Chris Carlin's favorite player, Caleb Downs? We're going to find out here momentarily. But what you're getting in Maui Noah is a really good right tackle. Like, he displaces people. He was one of my favorite players in the draft. I think he can play left. They're not going to need that with Andrew Thomas. Jermaine Alumalor's been adequate, not great at right tackle. I am a little surprised they didn't go Caleb Downs. And barring something unforeseen, they may be seeing Caleb Downs quite a bit over the next couple of years, wearing a star on the side of his helmet.
So as Mike Tannenbaum just told us, the Dallas Cowboys are on the clock. They have moved up one spot and traded with the Miami Dolphins. We will get the details of that trade to you momentarily. Let's go to our ESPN NFL draft analyst, Jordan Reed. Francis Maui Noah to the Giants. Offensive line is certainly a need for him.
It's one of my favorite players in the draft. The best way I describe him is consistently consistent. It's like watching your favorite movie. You already know what the ending is going to be. And that's exactly what it's like watching Francis Maui Noah. I think he's going to play guard, that right guard spot. And then with John Harbaugh, we know that he went to staple. And they went with 2 trench players right away. You get Arvell Reese, and then you get Francis Maui Noah. That he wanted to get those foundational players, and I think Francis can be that.
I'll tell you this about Maui Noah. We had him against Texas A&M, the college football playoff. Nasty conditions, 30-mile-an-hour winds, gusting, and then going from 0 to 30 miles an hour. It was a put your hand in the dirt, just get nasty physical game. Cassius Howell is a projected first-round pick for Texas A&M. He stoned him the entire game. We did not call Cassius Howell's name one time in that game, Max.
And I'll tell you what, he followed it up going against the vaunted Ohio State.
Yep.
Guess who just went there? Arvell Reese. He might have PTSD from that game in the Cotton Bowl. And Francis Maui Noah, my favorite offensive tackle in this entire draft, because outside of being consistently consistent, he is consistently nasty. He is a finisher. He is a tempo setter. He's going to change the entire complexion of what this offensive line can do. And if you get a Cam Scatterboo back, imagine Francis Maui Noah leading the way for a Cam Scatterboo. You're not going to want to get on those train tracks. And I think that's what they're going for, that physical thing. I still think he could probably take out Jermaine Aluminor at the right tackle position. Right, anywhere on the right side you put him, he is going to be a difference maker.
And what's interesting, that's the Dexter Lawrence pick. So they gave up something in the trenches to get, a right tackle. I think this is a really good pick. Maybe that's going to help Jackson develop. I'm all for it.
I'll just throw it out there, Max. Is he an interior player? Because a lot of people seem to think that he's not a tackle.
He is a tackle. I watched Troy Fautanu, one of the guys here in Pittsburgh that plays right here in Acrisure Stadium where we're seated. said he was more of a guard than a tackle. He's built just like Troy Fautanu, and he has that nasty demeanor. And in that NFC East, you want to be able to establish that run game against the Eagles, the Cowboys, and the like. So I think he can be a really good right tackle. I think he'd probably be an all-pro guard.
Yeah.
But a really good right tackle right now for a team that needs edge protection is important.
Now we see what Jerry Jones does or does not do. If Jerry Jones is in charge of this pick, Cowboy fans, you got problems. If you're relying on Will McClay, their de facto GM, this should be Caleb Downs right now. But the sad part is we won't know for the 6 minutes because Jerry's going to have that star logo on that television for every stinking second. And we all know it.
Well, let's talk about that. We'll get to it in one sec. The trade officially, Cowboys get number 11, Dolphins go back to number 12, and the Dolphins pick up 2 fifth-round picks, number 177 and number 180 from the Cowboys in the process. Let's pause 10 seconds for station identification. This is the 2026 NFL Draft on ESPN Radio.
After round one of the NFL Draft, tune in to Sirius XM NFL Radio for coverage on Channel 88 in the car and on the Sirius XM app.
Well, if there's news to be made, you can count on Jerry Jones. And there's been news the last couple of days here with George Pickens signing his franchise tender. The Cowboys are now on the clock. Mike, take us through what's going on with the Cowboys.
Yeah, look, they saw Caleb Downs, much the way you and a lot of other people have, that he was a surefire pick to give him gold one spot. Just to think behind the curtain, when you move one spot like that, there is honor here. So the Miami Dolphins, I think, just made a really good trade from this standpoint. They're clearly rebuilding by trading Jalen Waddle and everything else they've done. So they probably just got 2 free fifth-round picks because they probably said to Downs, who are you going to take? So clearly, I think if I'm assuming Miami's either going to take an offensive lineman or a pass rusher here. I don't think they were going to take Downs at 11. So when you make a trade like that, you can say, hey, all right, we'll move back. We want 2 5s, but we need to know who you're picking.
Jordan, you look at the Cowboys right now, and they have plenty of needs, there's no doubt. But bringing in somebody like Caleb Downs, what would he add to their defense?
Just smarts. He's the most intelligent safety I've ever scouted in nearly a decade doing this, and he's one of those guys. You're talking about remodeling or remaking the defense. I'm completely fine with starting with him just because he's going to be a player, in my opinion, that has all-pro potential walking through the door. And I've said this a million times. The player that Caleb Downs reminds me of is Buda Baker. Buda Baker has gone on to be a 4-time All-Pro. Buda is a very good player. Christian Parker, who comes from that Fangio system, he's going to be perfect for that scheme just because he's going to know how to utilize him and play him at so many different positions. This is the type of leader the Cowboys needed on that side of the football as well. Talk about a big brand. Caleb Downs really fits the criteria of that too.
That's Jordan Reed, our ESPN NFL draft analyst, and his instant analysis is brought to you by Marriott Bonvoy. Traveling for game day? Make Marriott Bonvoy your home base for pregame moments and postgame stories. Marriott Bonvoy, where game day checks in. The Dallas Cowboys are set to make their first pick of the 2026 NFL Draft, and they moved up one spot to do it.
With the 11th pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the Dallas Cowboys select Caleb Downs, defensive back, Ohio State.
Field Gates, player profile. In just 3 years of college football, Caleb Downs established himself as a dominant player in 2 of the most prestigious programs in college football history. After spending a year at Alabama, he finished up with 2 at Ohio State, during which the safety helped the Buckeyes to a national championship during the 2024 season. He had exactly 2 interceptions in each of his 3 college campaigns, being utilized as both a box safety and, more occasionally, a deep middle of the field safety. While he may not have dominant size, Downs packs a ton of punch within his frame and is a tone setter with his physicality that can play in any scheme in the NFL.
In talking to coaches about Caleb Downs, including one that was on the Alabama staff when he first went there, he said the following: "This is one of the most efficient players I've ever seen. No wasted movement, a ton of poise, everything's methodical." On the field at Alabama at the time, when he was a freshman, I thought he was our best player on defense right away. And when you say that in Alabama as a freshman, you are really saying something. And the other coach that had the game plan for him this year told me that with Matt Patricia's defense, they never play the same defense back to back. They never play the same coverage. And he could hide alignments better than anybody else.
Pre-snap, post-snap, Nick Saban told me he was the smartest recruit he's ever been around. Talked to Ryan Day just a couple of hours ago, Jordan Reed and I did, and he echoed that exact same sentiment, independent of one another. Didn't even mention Coach Saban to Ryan Day, said he's one of the smartest, if not the smartest defensive player I have ever been around. I don't care how big he is. I don't care how fast he is. Just turn on the tape. Film does not lie. He's gone up against the best of the best and humbled every single one of them. Don't have to worry about issues in the community or character. I mean, it's through the roof. And the fire with this young man, after they won the national championship, I'm at Big Ten Media Day, Max, last year, and I looked at him, he's angry. I said, Caleb, you all right? He's like, man, I celebrated that natty for about a day and a half, and I saw everyone writing what we're missing, what we're losing. My jaw is locked. I'm ready to go. That's the kind of competitor you're also getting in Caleb Downs.
And you're about to turn him loose with Jalen Thompson, who just got in free agency from the Cardinals, who's arguably one of their best players, like a Buda Baker for them. This now you talk about having to do defense. This was Jerry Jones could not have gone wrong. Wherever he went, it had to be on defense. But to think you got the best defensive player, regardless of position in the draft, that came at number 11, I mean that's all you need to say.
The Dallas Cowboys had a phenomenal night in that last 20 seconds.
Yeah.
They really did. Think about this. There was not a team that allowed more 25-yard completions last season than the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, Jordan mentioned with Christian Parker coming in now, we're going to see a lot more of that cover three, Big Fangio. I think that'll pair well with Jalen Thompson and Downs' versatility. I can see it coming down closer to the line of scrimmage. So they're going to need Sharon Ravel to get better from an ACL from 2 years ago. There's still a lot of holes here. Ezra Rocker's going to have to take the next step. There's still a lot of holes on this defense, but this was a big, big first step. And again, for 2 fifth-round picks, guys, that is an absolute no-brainer. Statistically, a fifth-round pick has a 40% chance or less of ever making it. So this was a really good job by the Dallas Cowboys. I'm just curious, and I agree with the decision the Giants made, but when it came down to Malignolo, presumably, versus Downs, just curious what that discussion was like.
So Caleb Downs is now a member of the Dallas Cowboys, the 4th Ohio State Buckeye to get selected in the top 11 picks of the 2026 NFL Draft. Ohio State, the 3rd school to ever have that happen. Got to go all the way back to last time for that happened for a school, Michigan State, in 1967. Meanwhile, the Miami Dolphins, speaking of needing help, the Dolphins need it all over the field. And the commissioner, Roger Goodell, is on his way to the podium to tell us about Jeff Hafley, their new head coach's first pick as the Dolphins leader.
With the 12th pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the Miami Dolphins select Caden Proctor, tackle, Alabama.
Field games. Player profile.
Caden Proctor is a 3-year college player with 40 starts in 40 games. He played 2,537 snaps for the Alabama Crimson Tide, all of them at left tackle. He is a gigantic man, 6'7", 352 pounds, with exceptional natural athletic ability. His foot quickness and fluidity is not common for a player of this size. The big question mark of Proctor is not his power. He is like a human forklift, and his consistency and his foot quickness. Some of his bad snaps from the 2025 season left evaluators asking questions, but some of his best snaps from the 2025 season screamed potential franchise left tackle at the NFL. The right offensive line coach is going to be key to the development of Caden Proctor.
So the run on tackles is happening. 3 of the last 4 picks have been offensive tackles, and the Los Angeles Rams are on the clock at number 13, followed by the Baltimore Ravens, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the New York Jets with their second pick in the top half of the first round, all on the way here in Pittsburgh. This is the 2026 NFL Draft. on ESPN Radio, presented by Pella Windows and Doors, 5-Hour Energy, ZipRecruiter, and Marriott Bonville.
The best mornings in the morning light start with Wrangler. Jeans, jackets, and shirts that get your day started on the right foot. Good mornings make for better days. Wrangler, for the ride of life.
Evan Cohen here. You know the feeling when a candidate just stands out. Not just their resume, but their energy. They're eager, engaged, and you know they want the role. That makes a difference. If you're hiring, you want a candidate who's passionate, but you can't get that insight from a resume unless you post your job on ZipRecruiter. Their matching technology finds qualified candidates fast, and ZipRecruiter has a new feature that shows you the most interested qualified candidates first. Try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/sports. That's ZipRecruiter.com/sports. We all know winning means showing up stronger, faster, better than before. And when you're chasing that edge, the Drop by GNC cuts through the noise, bringing you the best new innovations in sports nutrition and performance. From muscle building and strength support to improved recovery and focus, we curate the newest drops from GNC Amp, Pro Performance, and Mega Min. Plus, Ghost, Raw Nutrition, Bucked Up, and the top new brands changing the game. No guesswork, just leveling up. Check out the Drop by GNC for what's new, what works, and what's next.
I can't do it today. I already have plans. Something came up. There are a million reasons to put off a cancer screening, but one reason to keep it. Early detection can save lives. Every screening, every result, every early detection matters. At Pfizer, we're fighting against cancer, aiming for 8 cancer breakthroughs by 2030. Join the fight against cancer and get screened at Pfizerforall.com/screenings.
Evan Cohen here. PayPal is now the official peer-to-peer payment sponsor of the NFL, which means all the money moments that fandom creates, whether splitting tailgate costs or chipping in on tickets and game day food between friends, are covered. Wherever the game is played or watched, PayPal moves with fans. You can send money through text, email, or directly to your friends with eligible accounts on Venmo. Just download the PayPal app, share all the moments that matter. Account with PayPal is required, not available in all regions where PayPal operates. This is the 2026 NFL Draft on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app.
The NFL Draft on ESPN Radio is presented by 5-Hour Energy. All cake, no sugar, confetti craze. 5-Hour Energy is back. Grab yours now at 5hourenergy.com. Chris Garland back with Mike Tannenbaum, our ESPN NFL front office insider, along with Jordan Reed, our ESPN NFL draft analyst, our 2-time Super Bowl champion Max Starks, our college football reporter Ian Fitzsimmons at the 2026 NFL Draft. What a night for the young man who joins us right now. He is Jeremiah Love, the running back from Notre Dame, who goes number 3 overall to the Arizona Cardinals. Congratulations. It's got to be an incredible night for you. Did you expect over the last week that you were going to end up in the desert?
I kind of had an inkling, last week I had a great dialogue with Monty, and once I saw David got picked, I was already looking at my phone. I kind of already expected it, so no, I was not surprised, but I'm ready to work, man. I'm ready to get to AZ. I'm ready to, meet more, a lot more of the guys, ready to meet more of the coaches, and I'm ready to build great relationships with those guys.
Jeremiah, one of the many things I liked about the way you played is what you did when the ball wasn't in your hands, specifically pass protection, your route running. Where does that come from, that toughness, and who did you look up to and want to model your game after?
So I did not model my game after anybody. The only man I've ever looked up to has been my dad. And, I'm just a tough guy, man. I like to hit people. I know that sounds messed up, but I like to smash heads with people. I like to, try to put people on their back, especially when I got to protect my quarterback or I got to block for somebody. I'm trying to take somebody's neck off because at the running back position, guys are trying to kill me, man. They trying to take my neck out. They trying to take my legs out. So whenever I get the chance to deliver a blow,
I take pride in it. I'm going to make sure I deliver a deadly one.
Jeremiah, you enter an illustrious group of running backs going inside of the top 5. What are you going to bring for Arizona Cardinals fans? What do they have to look forward to?
I'm going to bring everything, man. You know, I'm the type of guy that's willing to do anything for the organization to have success. You know, I can run the ball, I can receive, I can block. I can play special teams if you need me to. So I'm bringing everything I got to the Cardinals. You know, I'm ready to work, man. I'm ready to build good relationships. And, I mean, we're going to do some great things in Arizona.
Share the story that you told me about a year ago about anime. You're a big anime guy.
Yes,
so
sir.
If there's the biggest, fattest anime character that would describe Jeremiah Love, the person and the football player, which one is it?
The biggest and the baddest. So you got to think about a very strong anime character, the strongest in the verse. So I'm going to go with Dragon Ball, Goku, Goku. I'm like Goku, man. You know,
What does this dude do?
I love to compete, man. Goku?
Yeah.
You don't know Goku?
I'm not an anime guy. We talked about this. You know that.
Look. Goku is from this anime called Dragon Ball Z. And, I mean, he's just, he's not the most powerful in the verse. There's people more powerful than him, but nobody can match Goku. Like, Goku, whenever he's in a fight, he fight just for fun. Just like I play football, I like hitting people for fun. So I like Goku, man. I'm ready to compete. He's always ready to compete, and he just does it for the love of the game, just like me.
Jeremiah, September 1 set, the commissioner, Roger Goodell, about to announce the next pick at number 13 for the Los Angeles Rams. Be interesting to see where Sean McVay and company go right here. Les Snead in charge. We know what his philosophy on picks in the first round has been before, but what is it tonight now that he's got them? Here's Roger Goodell.
With the 13th pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the Los Angeles Rams select Ty Simpson, quarterback, Alabama.
Wow. Ty Simpson is off the board, and he is a Los Angeles Ram. We will break that all down momentarily. Max Starks, you and Jeremiah have something to discuss first, though.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to go full Super Saiyan in this conversation because I'm also an anime guy as well. And I know that's why you picked Goku and not either Trunks or anybody else, right? I appreciate it. Game, recognized game. And as a guy who lives in the desert and covers the Cardinals, I'm excited to have you there. I'll just tell you this, you're going to love the left side. There's a guy by the name of Isaac Seumalo and Paris Johnson Jr. Get to know those guys.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to be clearing the holes for you. But Jeremiah, when you think about the opportunity to be in this league and to go and play in that NFC West where you know it's some tough competition, I mean, how much does that excite you knowing what that is and what you can potentially bring to the desert?
You know, I love it, man. You know, I'm all about competing. So when I got some great competition on my hands, it just gets me fired up even more, man. Like I said, I love to compete. You know, I'm ready to do it with my guys, my soon-to-be guys. Build some great relationships in Arizona. But, I mean, it means everything to me, man. To be able to go out there and compete at the highest level, it's a dream come true. So I'm really looking forward to getting in the build, getting to work, and shoot.
Jeremiah,
my roots, man. Playing my roots.
There it is.
Incredible night for you. Congratulations. We appreciate you stopping by.
Sir, appreciate it.
That is Jeremiah Love, the running back out of Notre Dame, the newest Arizona Cardinal. Meanwhile, Ty Simpson to the Rams. Here's Field Yates with a full breakdown.
Field Yates, player profile. Ty Simpson started just 15 games for the Alabama Crimson Tide as he patiently waited his opportunity to become the team's starting quarterback. Simpson has just average size for the QB position, but his superpowers were on display for the first 9 games of the 2025 season. At his best, Simpson displays excellent accuracy, very good in-pocket and out-of-pocket mobility, plus excellent decision-making as well. Simpson's play fell off during the final 5 games of Alabama's season, but established himself as clearly quarterback 2 in the 2026 draft class.
Just how big was that gap? The NFL Draft on ESPN Radio is brought to you by Sherwin-Williams. Capture moments in color with paint made to last. Ty Simpson is a Los Angeles Ram. Interesting here. The Rams, a couple of weeks ago, traded away the 29th pick. They had 2 first-round picks for Trent McDuffie in the deal with the Kansas City Chiefs. There was a lot of speculation at the time that Ty Simpson might be their pick at the end of the first round if they had that chance.
But instead of opting to try to get some more help immediately for Matthew Stafford here, Mike Tannenbaum, they look for his successor to learn behind him.
Yeah, and candidly, I do feel a little vindicated after battling this out for months.
Yeah, that's why we went to you first.
I appreciate that. Look, I got to know Ty. I spent a lot of time with their staff, and he dealt with a lot of things from a medical standpoint, injury and otherwise illnesses. And you never want to make an excuse for a player, but I'll just say, like, I think this guy's ceiling is a little bit higher than others, and we'll see how it turns out. I see him a little bit like Brock Purdy, Baker Mayfield. He has a lot more juice than Kenny Pickett. We're sitting here at Acrisure Stadium. I thought this was a no-brainer for someone like Pittsburgh. This is an outstanding pick by the Rams, and let me tell you why. When you think about the great Green Bay Packers, Favre, right? They draft Aaron Rodgers. How'd that work out for a decade? They give up a fourth-round pick to go get Jordan Love. That is on the precipice of being a 10-year-plus decision. This is the exact right decision because Matt Stafford is closer to the end. I believe in Ty Simpson. I believe in McVay. I think this is an outstanding pick.
I'm going to push back on you for a second. Outstanding. Let's talk about this for a second because you do have Matthew Stafford. You could have had Makai Lemon to help him out, and I'll point this out. Well,
You sound like a cranky Aaron
no,
Rodgers.
I talked
Who's
to
Jordan Love when they give him a fourth-round pick. How'd that work out?
I talked to some. I sound like somebody who talked to an offensive coordinator this week who called him a low-end starter at his best.
Well, we're going to find out.
You just have to leave it there, don't you? We're going to find out. We'll have to play the game.
With Sean McVay, I think he's okay developing quarterbacks.
Jordan, before we get to the pick here, we'll actually sit tight for 1 second because the Baltimore Ravens are up. And this is very intriguing as well because leading to their pick, is this going to lead to another storyline that I know you want to get into? We have got intrigue all over the place, and we are not even halfway through the first round, and we're pushing each other. And we're not going to stop because I got more to say about this. Here is Roger Goodell with the pick of the Baltimore Ravens at number 14.
With the 14th pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the Baltimore Ravens select Olai Babenga, Yowane, guard, Penn State.
Field the ace. Player profile. Babenga Yowane logged 32 starts and 44 career games at Penn State, taking at least 7 snaps at all 5 offensive line positions during his college career. His natural home, both in college and at the NFL level, is as a guard, as he is a great frame with thick, powerful cannon arms and a strong core. In a class that lacks blue chip players, he is not just one of the safest, but also one of the best. Over the past 2 seasons, Yowane did not allow a single sack. In 2025, he had 2 pressures allowed and just 1 penalty. He hasn't been called for a hold since the 2023 season. He's efficient in space, he's extremely powerful, and one of the most reliable prospects in the entire class.
Babenga Yowane from Penn State. Matt Starks visibly upset, shaken that he is a Baltimore Raven, and we will get to that in just moments. But let's get a little bit further into our discussion here on Ty Simpson as we turn to Jordan Reed, our ESPN NFL draft analyst. Nobody predicted that one at number 13. Your take on Ty Simpson?
I'm really surprised that he went to the Rams just because they're in a win-now window, and I thought they would want to get a playmaker, whether it's a Kenyon Sadiq or Makai Lemon, to help Matthew Stafford right away. But Mike T hit the nail on the head saying that they took the Green Bay Packers model and that they want to go ahead and get their quarterback of the future. We know Matthew Stafford reworks his deal every single year. We don't really know how much time he has left, but he's coming off an MVP season. They wanted to go ahead and get that. But I'm surprised because the whole reason for moving off of Jared Goff was because you wanted a high-end traits type of quarterback. Now, there's not a lot of Matthew Staffords walking around here, but it's like going from a Ferrari to a Honda. I thought they didn't want to go back into that Honda when I'm talking about Ty Simpson. I thought they wanted somebody that could have more high-end traits. So that's why I'm surprised by the pick.
And Jordan, that's why you're right. Ian Fitzsimmons, continue to elaborate on why Jordan's right. There's no before.
I'm with Mike T on this one.
The floor is to Senator Fitzsimmons.
When you talk to strength conditioning coaches at Alabama, the first voice shit they told me that you hear when you walk into the facility is Ty Simpson. and every player listens intently. He's a natural leader. When I was with him in Alabama spring game just a couple of weeks ago, he said, look, do you want to be a first rounder? Sure. But just get me in the damn room and let's just go play some football. That's him. And I asked him about being nicked up, and he said, I will never, ever use that as an excuse. I'll take as much Toradol as I have to get back out there and try and find a way to help my guys win. Just get me in the room, get me on a team, and let's go play ball. He is wicked, and I do mean wicked smart. A coach's son. And oh, by the way, did Carla just say that no one predicted Rams and Tyson? What did I just say 10 minutes ago?
I believe that you just said that right before they picked him. And I think when I look at...
I usually don't listen to Ian, to be fair.
That is true. That is true. And he did have microphone issues. Yes. But I think when you look at Ty Simpson, I think it's more so he's in the Honda category, but he's an Acura, right? That's the Highline brand of Honda. So you kind of squish the H and make the Acura. So I think he's right there, and they try and say that that's the luxury brand, but we know. But I think Ty Simpson sitting behind that staff, it's going to give you the Phil Rivers effect, right? You know, behind Drew Brees, and like you said, behind Favre, with Aaron Rodgers. I think you kind of have that because there's no pressure to start him. And this isn't quite the whole let's need F those picks, but it was F those starters, right? You definitely drafted a 13th pick, a guy who's going to sit at the beginning of his career.
Jordan, one thing I wanted to point out with you, and we'll get to that in just a second, because right now we have a special guest stopping by, the number 4 overall pick of the Tennessee Titans. The NFL Draft on ESPN Radio is presented by Marriott Bonvoy. Traveling for game day, make Marriott Bonvoy your home base for pregame moments and postgame stories. Marriott Bonvoy, where game day checks in. Cardell Tate, the wide receiver from Ohio State. Congratulations, young man. It's a terrific night for you. 4th overall pick to the Tennessee Titans. Take me through your emotions when they called your name.
Thank you. I'm very excited. All of us going through my body right now. I'm forever thankful for my family. Also, most importantly, my mom. They poured so much into me. I'm also forever thankful for the Titans organization for believing in me.
Cardell, what's it going to be like to play with Cam Ward?
It's going to be great. Go out there and play with Cam Ward. Also go out there and make plays for Cam Ward. Earning the trust of him and that organization. You know, you enter a long lineage of first-round receivers out of Ohio State. You went number 4. That's a little bit higher than everybody else. So if that's something you're going to talk about in the group chat with those guys? Nah, we don't really do any bragging rights. We're just all happy for each other because each and every one that comes before us set the wave and set the path for the next one to follow. So we're very appreciative for those who come before us.
Is there a lab underneath Ohio State spawning wide receivers in?
Shout out to Coach Arline. He does so much for that organization. He produced a lot of the talent. Also great guys.
How different is your game going back to the time you got on campus, where you are right now as a 4th overall?
When I first got there on campus, I was learning what to do. But then once you learn what to do, then now you go out there and add to it. Like I say, route runs are hard. So as my years went on, I was more familiar with the playbook, more comfortable going out there and having my little thing on different routes.
And Cardell, I mean, you know, a lot of people made a whole big deal about your 40.
Yeah.
But we also know when we turn on the tape, it's a different guy.
Oh, yeah,
that guy's a difference maker. But one thing I'm going to tell you, you have to make sure going to Nashville, they call it Nash Vegas.
Okay.
So make sure you know that it's the big lights in the big city. You're going to shine bright. Man.
Oh, yeah, appreciate it. Thank you.
Cardell, congratulations. Awesome night.
Thank you. I appreciate you all.
Cardell Tate from Ohio State, the wide receiver. First Buckeye off the board tonight. Meanwhile, we are about set to hear from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Where will they go? Headed to the podium is the commissioner, Roger Goodell, with the 15th pick.
With the 15th pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Ruben Bain Jr., linebacker, Miami.
Field Yates. Player profile. Ruben Bain Jr. was a dominant 3-year player at the University of Miami who played an astonishing 867 snaps during the 2025 season. Bain owns hands of destruction as he is powerful, he is determined, and he is a menace to have to block, both as a pass rusher, but also as a run defender. He had a 71 pressure season in 2025, and he also had 137 snaps all the way back as a true freshman as a defensive tackle, as Bain has an unconventional build for the pass rusher position. Despite the fact that he has under 31-inch arms, many around the NFL are convinced that Bain has the goods to buck the mold and be a very accomplished pass rusher in the NFL.
Do short arms matter? We will have that debate in just moments. We thought there might be a potential slide for Ruben Bain, but not so fast as we approach the end of the top half of the first round here in Pittsburgh. You're listening to the 2026 NFL Draft on ESPN Radio, presented by Pella Windows and Doors, 5-Hour Energy, ZipRecruiter, and Marriott Bonvoy.
Throughout the NFL Draft, the experts of Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio will tell you which rookies you need to select.
He's got the skills to be a Christian McCaffrey type out of the backfield. That's how good Jeremiah Love is.
Who will be the next fantasy football star?
You need a quarterback in rookie drafts. Fernando Mendoza. He's a back-end first-round selection in one quarterback league.
Your pick-by-pick analysis from a fantasy football perspective. Coverage of the NFL Draft continues on Channel 87 and the Sirius XM app.
Cody Johnson,
Lady Wilson,
Riley Green,
and more
are lighting up California's premier country music festival.
Stagecoach 2026.
Good vibes, good music, good people.
It's big, it's a party, it's amazing.
SiriusXM takes you there with live performances and all the action backstage.
All weekend starting tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 Pacific, with a Music Girl Happy Hour live from the festival grounds.
Exclusively on the highway, Channel 56.
And at home with SiriusXM on your phone, computer, Alexa, TV, or other internet-connected devices. There's nothing like pro hockey, and nobody gets you closer to the ice than SiriusXM NHL Network Radio. Our experts get you ready for each matchup.
The Edmonton Oilers can outscore any mistakes in this series.
And interviews with the league's heavy hitters.
John Cooper, head coach of the Tampa Bay Lightning. I love listening to you guys in the morning.
It's hockey talk all day. The top playoff games every night. Stay connected to the quest for the cup on NHL Network Radio, Channel 91 in the car, and on the SiriusXM app.
Hey, it's Mike Dirk.
It is I, Trey Cool.
I'm Billy Joe from Green Day, and we built an entire channel for you.
Don't want to be an American idiot nation.
Punk rock, from our point of view. Part history, part discovery, part live, and a whole lot of us. Our channel, Idiot Nation, just arrived.
Channel 314 on most radios and wherever you stream with the SiriusXM app, included with most subscriptions.
Feel the pulse-pounding drama of the UEFA Champions League knockout stage on Sirius XM-ST. The stakes are raised as Europe's elite.
Fantastic start for PSG. The Flying Beauty Machine is on the roll again. Arsenal are running riot in North London.
Battle in a quest for club soccer's ultimate prize.
This is the place that dreams come true.
This is where legends are made. The Champions League knockout stage on Sirius XM-ST 157 and the Sirius XM app. You're listening to the 2026 NFL Draft on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app. Our draft tracker brought to you by Pfizer in the fight against cancer. Every screen matters. See why cancer screenings matter at PfizerForAll.com/screenings. Last 5 picks. It was Caleb Downs going to Dallas at 11, and Caden Proctor, the tackle from Alabama, going to Miami at 12. The Rams took Ty Simpson, the Alabama quarterback, at 13. Vega Ioane at 14 from Penn State to Baltimore, and then Ruben Bain Jr. moments ago. The New York Jets on the clock.
In the 2026 NFL Draft, the New York Jets select Kenyon Sadiq, tight end, Oregon.
Field the ace. Player profile.
It's not an exaggeration to say that Kenyon Sadiq, the tight end from Oregon, is one of the most athletic tight ends to come out of the NFL draft in the past 20 years. He was a 3-year player for the Ducks and essentially a 1-year starter on the offense. He led the team in special teams snaps played in 2024 before leading all FBS tight ends in receiving touchdowns with 8 in 2025. Sadiq is a capable and willing blocker and run-after-catch force with 4.39 speed and a vertical jump of 43.5 inches at the combine. He did have 6 drops in 2025, but in the right scheme, he can be an absolute weapon to a talented offensive play caller.
Jordan Reed, our ESPN NFL analyst, in talking to different coaches and evaluators the last few weeks, there were 3 players I couldn't get a negative word on from any of them. And those players were Sonny Styles, Caleb Downs, and Kenyon Sadiq. This had to be a dream scenario for the Jets to be able to pick with Kenyon Sadiq, the tight end from Oregon, and Mekhi Lemon in terms of playmakers.
Yeah, the Jets were the only team in NFL history to play at least 16 games and finish without a single receiver over 400 receiving yards.
How's that possible?
So that just goes to show you that they needed somebody opposite of Garrett Wilson. They needed a number two. And I think they're going to treat him more so of a receiver as opposed to an inline blocking tight end. Remember, they took Mason Taylor a season ago as well. So they're going to run a lot of 12 personnel. I'm really interested that they went Lemon over Sadiq. I had Sadiq ranked as the higher rated. I had Lemon rated as the higher rated player. But with them taking Mason Taylor a season ago, how are him and Sadiq going to pair together?
Well, you know what's interesting about that is Aaron Glenn's a defensive coach. And if you look at Coach Belichick over the years, who Aaron Glenn played for, he shaped his offensive teams in ways that was hard for him to defend. A lot of two tight ends on those great Patriot teams. So when I see this, I immediately think, okay, Mason Taylor, Kenyon Sadiq, maybe there'll be a lot more two tight end, offense. And as a defensive guy, I'm sure that's what Aaron Glenn's thinking. Like, this is a personnel grouping that's going to give opposing defenses trouble.
When I was out with Oregon for fall camp for 4 days, I looked at Sadiq and I'm like, man, you just look different. What is it? He goes, my body. He said he dropped 10% of body fat while gaining 10 pounds of pure muscle from 235 to 245, now at 248. And he credits Wilson Love and the assistant strength coach, Anthony Kinsey, for that very thing, getting focused on diet, stretch, and recovery. His body never felt better. Now, we had him against Iowa. He didn't play in that game, and it was the first game he told me he could ever remember missing since Little League, and that was Dan Lanning and that coaching staff protecting the player from himself. Could he have gone? Yeah. They thought they could beat him without him. It was a hard-fought, nasty game, but Sadiq said just watching for the first time, found a new joy for the game because he was so angry about not being able to be out there. Is he the best blocker? No. Is he willing? He'll wham a nose tackle if you ask him to. He is a remarkable, physically gifted, brilliant football player. And I'm telling you, the Jets got a steal, I think, at 16 in Kenyon Sadiq.
Sadiq, when they were lining up to play against Oregon this year, saw Sadiq and said, wait a second, that's the tight end? That's when I knew we were in trouble. And
that's good.
In fact, that's what happened with a lot of Oregon's opponents throughout the course of the year. Let's slide back a moment, though. Reuben Bain Jr., Matt Starks, let's talk about him going to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We asked Jordan, we talked about the short arms. As an offensive tackle, tell me about Reuben Bain, what you see, what challenges he presents, and what makes him such a disruptive player.
So the great American philosopher Clubber Lang once said, what's the projection? Pain. That is exactly what Reuben Bain brings. He brings pain to any offensive tackle that he goes against.